All right, on this episode of Bowks Talking Bouts, very excited to be talking to an individual who has quite the intriguing fight coming up as part of PFL's 2025 World Tournament, and this fight goes down on April the 18th. It is a co-main event lightweight affair as Alexander Shabliy steps into the PFL Smart Cage against Brent Primus, and great having Brent on Bowks Talking Bouts. How's it going, man? You having a good day so far?
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for having me on. Just training my butt off, like always. I got one more week of hard training and then time to fight.
Yeah, and it's just interesting, like you're coming into this being the tournament finalist from the lightweight run last year, but obviously some big changes from the points-based structure to more of like a straight ahead single elimination tournament bracket. So like I guess one of the questions I would have within that is what are your thoughts on that change from the points-based structure to more of a straight ahead defined bracket where it's like the single elimination Grand Prix style?
Yeah, I can see how PFL is doing the single elimination more of a tournament style, but I personally liked the old platform just because we were guaranteed two fights, and I liked how the point system was just because if you were down in points going into that last fight, it made you kind of fight reckless and go out there and you had to get the win. And so I did like that. But the main thing, I just liked how there's two fights guaranteed. So I like that. But I do feel like this is more for the fans of the single elimination tournament like this, and stuff. So it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
And I guess what's the mindset heading into this season? I mean, like I said, you did quite well last season, being a tournament finalist and everything like that. Is that factoring into the mindset this season at all in any kind of way, like a redemptive kind of path, get back to the finals and win the tournament, or is it just kind of like, oh, that's in the rear view and I'm focused on what's here and then also subsequent to it?
Yeah, at the same both. I feel like I got to go out there and make a statement. And this is only one shot and you're out, so you have to win if you want to keep on advancing the tournament. It's a little bit different from last year, so I have to go out there and make a statement and win this fight. And I feel like Shabliy is one of the toughest, if not the toughest guy in the tournament. So I feel like this is going to be fireworks. I don't see it going to decision. I have a good game plan. I really feel like I'm going to put him to sleep. So yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm gonna go out there and fight as if my life is on the line, and I have to get this win, man. Like I said, one shot, and you're going home. So I have to go out there and make the best of this opportunity and finish Shabliy.
Yeah, and that idea that there might be some redemptive components to, the season, and even that could apply to this fight potentially, because you do have that history with Alexander Shabliy, and I was seeing there was some talks about you guys, fighting in the finals of that Bellator Grand Prix, but then obviously PFL had acquired them, so then you kind of became amalgamated into the PFL season. So yeah, it would seem like this is like a rematch that's been on your radar for a fair bit now, I would think.
Yeah, like I said, like kind of icing the cake. I'm gonna fight Shabliy, get this win, and then hoping in the finals I'll fight Gadzhi and get that rematch again and get that win. So it'd be kind of cool to get wins over these two guys that beat me in just this one tournament. So yeah, that's the plan and that's the goal and that's what I'm gonna train my butt off for. So yeah, 2 weeks out.
Yeah, that is kind of interesting because I've talked to some fighters, like I was talking to Jeremy Kennedy prior to his fight, and he kind of had a mentality about, I guess, looking at people on the other end of the bracket in a sense, like, oh, it'd be kind of cool to see this guy make it to the finals so I can, have my own rematch with him. So
Yeah,
that's kind of like similar position for you here with Rabadanov.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it'd be cool to get Shabliy and then you know uh beat Gadzhi for that in the finals for sure. It'd be awesome.
I guess you would then foresee him besting Mark Diakese in his April 18th fight there, presuming, yeah, he's going to get to the finals against you at the end of this in your eyes.
Yeah, yeah, I see him winning that fight. He's obviously got a tough opponent and tough fight, but I see him winning that fight. And yeah, man, I could totally see us fighting again in the finals.
And I remember seeing some articles when you were in Bellator, like before they were acquired by PFL, obviously. And this was, to be fair, like a pretty common grievance, like the frustration with infrequency of fights. Is there something to be taken from having like a very defined, consistent schedule being with an organization like the PFL that uses, different tournament structures now, but still like a defined structure through the calendar year, all the same?
Hell yeah, man! I had 4 fights last year, and like that's the most I've fought in 1 year. I feel like it was so hard to get multiple fights, 2 3 fights in Bellator is so hard. I was trying, and you know, I had meetings with people, and I heard it was my old manager or Bellator miss miss they just weren't communicating well or whatever. I don't know, but all I know is I was so happy with signing with PFL and having 4 fights and knowing guaranteed they're scheduled out or whatever. And so that was amazing. And I have nothing bad to say about PFL. They've been great to me. And here we are. I fight in 2 weeks, and it's gonna be great, man. Yeah, it's gonna be a great fight.
Yeah, and definitely more PFL questions I have chambered for you and everything. But I mean, I really like what you do in submission grappling and have done in years past. Like, I thought it was really impressive that you took on Craig Jones in submission underground. I guess I asked that in the context of, getting your thoughts on what he's been able to do with the Craig Jones Invitational and everything.
Oh yeah, Craig's the man, dude. I think it's awesome how he's doing. Yeah, the CGI and all that stuff, and $1 million, and that's awesome. I think jujitsu needs that, and that's big time. Like it's funny because I was training for a fight, and something happened, and Chael Sonnen, I was training with Chael, and Chael's like, "Hey, you want to do the CGI? You can go against Craig Jones." And I was like, "Oh man, he's a beast. How big is he though?" He's like, "Oh, you guys are about the same size." And I was like, "All right, cool." And we were not the same size. He was way bigger than me and way stronger. And but it was cool though, man. I got to compete against Jake Shields and Craig Jones in the Sug League or whatever, so that was cool. So yeah, good experience, and going to compete against one of the best guys in the world like that, is awesome for sure. It was cool.
And I mean, that's an incredible feather in your cap as well, getting a armbar submission over Jake Shields at Submission Underground 14. That had to have been a big one for you, I would imagine, at least.
Hell yeah, man! I grew up watching Jake Shields, and he's a beast, man, and a cool guy too. Like Jake's the man. So it was an honor to get to compete against that guy.
And you had kind of mentioned I believe you said you were training with Chael Sonnen at the time. Like, is that still something you find yourself getting up to and whatnot, or whereabouts are you kind of refining the skills these days?
Yeah, Chael doesn't really train as much anymore. Every once in a while he'll come to the gym, but I was training with Chael a bunch at American Top Team in Portland, Oregon, and but he kind of retired, but he stops in every once in a while. But when he was fighting for Bellator and I was fighting for Bellator, yeah, we grappled and trained and all the time, man. And Chael's the man too. He's such a cool dude, smart, funny dude, man. Chael's the man. Miss the guy in the gym for sure.
Yeah, I feel like you'd be able to glean a lot from someone like that for sure. Someone who's contended for, multiple UFC titles and just seems like he has a great mind for many facets of the game in general.
A great mind, and he's really intelligent. He's a really smart guy, and like you said, he's been around and trained with so many people and fought in so many good guys, and um, yeah, Chael's the man. And all of that, he's freaking hilarious, dude. The guy's he's hilarious. I love Chael. He's the man.
Yeah, no, for sure. And just, yeah, that was great stuff that he did with Submission
Yeah,
Underground. No doubt. I really liked watching that when it was going on. But I'd be curious to get your thoughts on an upcoming fight here, just considering the history that you have with Michael Chandler across multiple lightweight title fights. The first fight obviously saw you ascend to that 155-pound throne in Bellator. But what are your thoughts on that Paddy Pimblett fight at UFC 314 that Chandler has coming up?
man. Yeah. I see Chandler winning that fight, but man, it's gonna be a good fight. The Patty has surprised me a couple of times. I thought but I personally I feel like Chandler's going to be too fast and explosive for him, and his wrestling is going to be too much for him. I feel, but um, I feel like anybody's a chance in MMA. But if I was putting money on it, I'm going Chandler for sure.
Yeah, and yeah, kind of curious because I had seen an interview, I guess, a bit after his UFC 309 loss to Charles Oliveira, where you were, I guess, referring to him as like a dirty opponent. Like, obviously, he caught a lot of flack for the back of the head shots in that Oliveira rematch. Like, were there moments in either of your guys' fights that you felt he was doing something similarly dirty, I suppose?
Yeah, yeah, and just his personality and how he was. After I beat him, I tried to come up to him, talk to him, and I messaged him, and he was just such a poor sport, little dirty, little lying punk, like, oh, I just rolled my ankle, and I was like, what? Like, I don't know, just weird. Me and my coaches planned that calf kick for like 3 months training for him, and it worked too well because not everybody knew what was going on, but just how he said that he rolled his ankle and all that stuff, and then he went to the doctor the next day and had like a Scott Coker had like an interview, and he's like, "Yeah, it was from the kick, it's from impact, it kills the nerve, blah blah, drop foot, all stuff." And I just, he's just a punk. And then talking to him like over social media, just the shit he said was just like, he just a fake. He's so fake. He's such a fake human being. I feel, but he's done great things, and I can't say nothing about it. He's doing awesome, man. He's in there, the UFC, making money and everything. But it's just weird. Like, I see him in the UFC fighting these guys, just standing up, just banging, and fighting kind of stupid. But when I fought him in Hawaii, like, I dropped him, and after that, he just shot in, didn't want to stand up with me at all, shooting and holding me to the ground, like. And then I see him just fighting these guys so wild, and I'm like, man, why didn't he fight me like that, man? Like, But Chandler's doing awesome. He's the man. He's exciting to watch. So I'm excited to watch him fight Padley. It'll be a good one. But he's a little shithead though. But yeah.
It's just curious. I mean, there's, I guess, different circumstances attached to it, but still some parallels all the same. Like, I feel like Dustin Poirier had a lot of similar takeaways after their fight and whatnot, just in terms of like maybe he felt like Chandler was, I don't know, throwing cold water on the moment, for lack of a better way to phrase it, or having a certain type of demeanor. And I guess the fights too also both taking place in Madison Square Garden, like both yourself and Poirier's fights with
Yeah,
Chandler. So
yeah.
just, yeah, kind of interesting.
There was like things that Chandler doing, just grinding his head into my head. Like, I got head butted in the second fight really hard. Him, I don't want to make excuses, but he is. I just feel like he's a fake dirty fighter for sure.
No, fair enough. I mean, you've had the pair of experiences with him, so you definitely have the anecdotal familiarity. But I guess kind of speaking to the point of, dirtiness, albeit in a different capacity, it seemed like that was at play with the whole Usman Nurmagomedov drug test failure and everything, and, gone on to have that Paul Hughes fight that I think some people thought was closely contested, like even to the scale that some people thought Hughes should have maybe even won that fight. Like, what were your thoughts on that Usman Nurmagomedov Paul Hughes fight?
Yeah, it was a good fight. I think Usman won. I don't think Paul won. I think Paul did an awesome fight, and he did great. But I clearly thought that Usman won. But yeah, I'd love to see them fight again, and hopefully they do fight again. And but Paul did good, man. I thought Paul was going to be in the tournament that I'm in right now, so I was like, honestly, I was like, maybe I'll fight Paul. I was thinking, but it's just so weird that him and, like, we were talking about how neither of them are in the tournament or whatever. So, but yeah, man, Paul did awesome. He not only that, did really good against AJ McKee. AJ McKee's no joke, so I'm excited. It'd be cool to see those guys fight again, throw it back.
I was also thinking that too because there is that tournament established with all of the lightweights, but it's almost like there's this separate lineal or divisional title that was technically a Bellator title, but like, is it a PFL divisional title now? So it is kind of curious.
Yeah, man, it's kind of weird. I was like talking about this a little while back. Like, they're almost gonna have two champions in the division, like a tournament and then the champion, whatever. But maybe they're gonna throw it off and have one big tournament and have them fight each other, So Usman fight the winner of this tournament or whatever. So could be good, could be cool.
Well, it's like it's kind of like quasi like those early years Bellator tournaments they did to almost establish the number one contender. Like, it's like maybe is it's like that going on here? Like, obviously there's the cash prize attached to it at the end, but yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, it is weird. It is weird. It's like I said, there's like two belts for one weight class or whatever. It's kind of like almost they should have like I don't know, it's just weird, just weird. But I think they're gonna have like one big show and have them fight each other at the end or whatever. So hopefully I'll be a part of that.
Yeah, you'd have to imagine there'd be some sort of blow off with that. But I was talking about, yourself and Chandler being interwoven in that Bellator lightweight title history. So is Patricio Pitbull, who's readying to make his UFC debut fairly soon. Like, do you have any thoughts on that UFC 314 fight with Pitbull and Yair Rodriguez?
um, I actually trained with Rodriguez at the BMF Ranch and at Greg Jackson's years ago, and he's a cool guy. I have nothing bad to say about him. He's a hard worker. I do remember running up this hill, sprinting up, and somebody grabbed me from behind, and I was like, "What the hell?" I got the top. I was so pissed. I turned around, and is Rodriguez tired, holding onto me, like me helping him up the mountain. I was like, "Oh, this don't tear," I was so tired, but and Pitbull has always been respectful and cool to me. So I've always liked him and his brother. They've always been respectful to me, and so I have nothing bad to say against any of those guys. But I want Pitbull to win just because he's coming from Bellator everything. He's done great things in Bellator, and he's a good fighter, respectful dude. So I want to see Pitbull win. Truthfully, so yeah, be good for him, and I think it'd be kind of cool to, he's done a lot of stuff in Bellator. It'd be kind of cool to see him accomplish some good things in the UFC too.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people understandably look at him as either outright the Bellator GOAT or at the very least on like a Bellator Mount Rushmore if they were to establish such a thing.
Yeah, yeah, I 100% agree. Yeah, he's the man. He's the man.
And it's just really cool to see, I guess, your whole journey because like I've interviewed you a couple times over the years and your story about leaving home at like a fairly young age and really having to fend through yourself through rough times and now being in a position where, you're in this tournament, big cash prize at the end, and just really seems like you're driven and motivated by your family. Like there's not really like a question within that. I just think that's like a great journey to see. Like it seems like you're just in a good spot now, just focusing on making life better for yourself and your family as a broader extension.
Yeah, yeah, man. I grew up without a dad. My dad was in prison my whole life. I remember visiting him at the Oregon State Penitentiary, or like I remember the first time I ever saw him, my brother's like, "There's Daddy," and he's on television getting tackled on cops on television, and not having a dad makes me want to be the best dad ever, and having kids is the biggest motivation and the best thing in the world. And I am out here fighting for them, and I want to give them an awesome life, a better life than I have, and my kids are amazing. They are the best things ever, and I just can't wait to go. I've been training my butt off every single day, 3 times a day, missing their soccer and all their things, and I just can't wait to go beat the crap out of Shabliy and go hang out with my kids for like 2 weeks and just hang out with them. It's gonna be the best, man. Nothing like kids for sure.
I was gonna say, are they at an age where they really understand what dad does for work? Like, is it like a my dad can beat up your dad scenario?
Yeah, I have a 3 year old, a 5 year old, and a 7 year old. My 5 year old and my 7 year old do jiu-jitsu, and they are excelling in it. They're doing so awesome. I love watching them go in there and doing good or whatever. But they know what's up. They watch me on television. My little boy has been to my fights, and he was at my last one in Florida. And yeah, they know what's up for sure. And they know what it takes to be where I'm at. They see me training my butt off all the time, every day, injured, dieting, grumpy. They see all that and stuff. So yeah, it's good.
I guess maybe drawing a comparison to some of your earlier fights before, being a father and having your kids at the fights, like is the mentality a great deal different at all? Like in the sense of, is there like a little something extra at play for you fighting in front of your kids and all?
I mean, obviously, I don't want to go out there and get knocked out or get beat up in front of my kids. That's horrible. But the biggest thing for me is just to go out there and win and put money in our bank for my kids. Like give my kids a better life, and that's why I'm doing this. And I would literally die for my kids, and I'm gonna go out there and put my life on the line in that cage and bite down that mouthpiece, and whatever happens, happens. We're trying to knock this dude out, put him to sleep for sure.
And it must be cool for you to see them on their own athletic journeys. Like I heard you mention the soccer games that you haven't been able to hit up quite as much lately. Like it must be cool to see them on their own athletic journey and doing their thing.
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. They are excelling, and especially seeing them do jiu-jitsu, and um, you're working on their techniques, their sweeps, and then watching them or showing them a technique, and then watching them doing it when they're rolling against one of their teammates. It's like freaking awesome. I love it, and I'm gonna make my kids do jiu-jitsu until they're, I think, maybe freshmen, and then I'll give them the decision to do it or not or whatever. But I think it's so important for girls and females to do jiu-jitsu, to learn how to defend themselves, and all of that. Like in jiu-jitsu, you're in the guard, and if somebody's trying to rape a girl, there's like 12, 20 ways to sweep, submit, choke them or whatever. So I think for females, jiu-jitsu is humongous. It's big time. So yeah, and my little girl is like a savage. She like has a little overbite, bites down, it just goes at it, and I love it. It's pretty cool.
No, that's so great, man. And just, yeah, I would think that would be tremendously exciting. I feel like that's kind of a bit of an interesting thread among like MMA fighters who are also parents, like in terms of like, oh, get to a certain age and you can decide if you want to continue doing this. I'm trying to think of the quote Frank Mir had. I think it was something to the effect of, if you live in my house, you got to at least become a purple belt. So, yeah.
I love it. Yes, exactly. I love it. Yeah. Like I said, I'm gonna make my kids do it until, I don't know, at least until they get to high school. But we'll see. But they're gonna do it whether they like it or not. Even today, sometimes my little girl's like, "Daddy, I don't want to go to jiu-jitsu. I'm tired." I'm like, "No, you're gonna go. You're gonna go." And then once she's on the mat, she's just going at it, loving it, like And so the biggest thing is just getting them on the mat. Once they're on the mat, they're gonna love it. But you're gonna deal with little fusses here and there or whatever. But I think the biggest thing is just getting on the mat, and not only that, just the confidence I see that it builds in them, and is humongous. I think kids are so mean in school, bullying and all that stuff. So I think anything you can do to give your kids an edge of confidence is so big. And there's no better confidence booster than jujitsu, than knowing that you can defend yourself, and if you have to, you can beat somebody up if you have to, or whatever, or just protecting your sister or whatever it is. So um, yeah, jiu-jitsu, big time.
Yeah, no, I love that, man. It's been great getting to, talk to you as well. It's been a little bit since we last chatted, so good to catch up a little bit and see what you're doing. But I figured I'd, give you the floor if you had a final parting thought you wanted to add as we're wrapping up here, Brent. I do appreciate you coming on Bowks Talking Bouts and giving great insights today.
Yeah, man, thanks for having me on. Like you said, it's been a long time. It's been a while. So yeah, I'm just 2 weeks out from today, so I'm excited. Don't miss my fight. I'm gonna go out there and throw everything on the line. I'm as if my life is on the line, man. I'm gonna go out there, and I honestly don't feel like this fight is gonna go to decision. So it's gonna be exciting, man. Let's go.
Yeah, it's been a rematch that has been years in the making. I'm excited to see this Alexander Shabliy fight, a great addition to that, April 18th card that they're doing as part of PFL's 2025 World Tournament. And yeah, just again to reiterate, thanks so much for giving great insights today, man. I'll be checking out the fight when it goes down. But until then, you have a great rest of your day, Brent. Thank you.
Yeah, you too. Have a good day, man. Thank you.